The year is 1914. Europe is a powder keg. The great powers, with their intricate alliances, are on the brink of war. This war, World War I, would become known as the Great War. Millions of soldiers would clash in a brutal struggle. Empires would crumble. The world would never be the same. This war was supposed to be over by Christmas. It was not. The fighting dragged on for years. New technologies made the war deadlier than ever before. Machine guns, poison gas, and tanks emerged. The Great War ended in 1918. Germany and its allies were defeated. To understand the Great War, we must first unravel the complex web that led to its outbreak. Europe in the early 20th century was a hotbed of tension. Years of growing nationalism, militarism, and imperial rivalry set the stage for a global conflict. Nationalism, a powerful force, was sweeping across Europe. People felt a strong sense of loyalty and devotion to their nation. Militarism, the belief in a strong military, also played a crucial role. European nations engaged in a massive arms race. They built up their armies and navies at an alarming rate. Imperialism, the quest for colonies and global dominance, further heightened tensions. European powers competed for territories in Africa, Asia, and the Pacific. To protect their interests, the great powers formed a complex network of alliances. When one nation went to war, it would drag its allies in with it. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, on June 28, 1914, proved to be the spark that ignited the powder keg of Europe. The Archduke and his wife, Sophie, were visiting Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia. A group of Serbian nationalists, the Black Hand, plotted to assassinate the Archduke. They saw him as a symbol of Austrian oppression. As the Archduke's motorcade drove through Sarajevo, a young Serbian nationalist, Gavrilo Princip, saw his opportunity. Princip fired 2 shots, striking the Archduke and his wife. Both died shortly after. Austria-Hungary, outraged by the assassination, blamed Serbia and issued an ultimatum. Serbia, backed by Russia, refused to accept all of Austria-Hungary's demands. On July 28, 1914, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia. Section 4. Blood and mud battles on the Western Front. The Western Front, a 400-mile stretch of land from the North Sea to Switzerland, became the main theater of war in Europe. It was here that the armies of Germany and France clashed in a brutal war of attrition. Millions of soldiers would fight and die in the trenches of the Western Front. The Battle of the Marne, fought in September 1914, was one of the first major battles on the Western Front. The German army, following their Schlieffen Plan, had advanced rapidly through Belgium and into France. They were just miles from Paris when they were met by the French and British armies. The Battle of the Marne was a decisive victory for the Allies. It halted the German advance and ended any hopes of a quick victory. The battle also marked the beginning of trench warfare on the Western Front. The Battle of Verdun, fought between February and December 1916, was one of the longest and bloodiest battles in human history. German forces launched a massive offensive against the French fortress city of Verdun. Section 5. A new kind of war technology and trench warfare. World War I was a new kind of war, one that was shaped by new technologies and the horrors of trench warfare. The trenches, a network of ditches dug into the ground, became the defining feature of the Western Front. Soldiers lived and fought in these miserable conditions for months at a time. Life in the trenches was a living hell. Soldiers endured constant shelling, machine gun fire, and the threat of poison gas attacks. The trenches were infested with rats, lice, and disease. New technologies made the war deadlier than ever before. Machine guns, capable of firing hundreds of rounds per minute, mowed down soldiers by the thousands. Poison gas, first used by the Germans in 1915, was a terrifying new weapon. Tanks, armored vehicles armed with cannons and machine guns, were introduced later in the war. Airplanes, still in their infancy, were used for reconnaissance and later for bombing raids. Submarines, lurking beneath the waves, preyed on merchant ships and warships alike. The new technologies of World War I made the conflict more deadly and destructive than any previous war. Section 6. A world reshaped legacy of the Great War. The Great War ended in 1918. Germany and its allies were defeated. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially ended the war. The treaty imposed harsh penalties on Germany, including territorial losses, disarmament, and heavy reparations payments. The war had a profound impact on the world. The old world order was shattered. Four empires, the Austro-Hungarian, Ottoman, Russian, and German, collapsed. New nations emerged from their ashes. The war left millions dead and millions more wounded. The Treaty of Versailles, with its harsh treatment of Germany, created resentment and instability in Europe. The war also set the stage for World War II, a conflict even more devastating than the first.